Hello everybody, what is up and welcome back to a brand new video. This one is going to be focused on Act 2. Act 2? Well, that'd be weird if it was. Act 8.2.1. Got a spreadsheet in the link in the description. We're going to be going over it in some detail as well as some champion options for things I've been experimenting and stuff like that. Do bear in mind the spreadsheet is a work in progress. I'm approaching this from an explorative point of view, but unfortunately Act 8.2 has been released in the middle of a massive deadline I have for the games developer I work for, which is just sod's law. It just everything happens at one specific time. But how I always approach these new Act content is I explore something 100% first, and then we do a video on it, and we kind of look at the process by that. So we look at first of all, and I'm going to be throwing on screen some interactions from the paths, so we can check out that as well. But yeah, that's just to kind of confirm that we are doing a reflection 8.2.1 100% guide. Let's do it. So let's begin from left to right, and then we're going to do the bosses at the end. First of all, the furthest left path, fight 1. Fighting dirty, high voltage, clean slate, shock vulnerability, especially energetic. Now, approach this as you will. Whether or not it's a case like you use the likes of Dr. Doom, which could be a good option for this because it's a shock champion and plays into shock vulnerability. But at the same time, anytime you power drain, burn, or lock a defender, you get a shock passive. Again, playing into the narrative of all this. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of some of the rotations, but the infamous Dr. Doom was one of the better options of this. You got Warlock, you've got Penny Parker with the power control elements to it. Any champion that power controls could be a good option. Hulkbuster, because Hulkbuster is part of his kit. I got a 5-star version. Would have loved to have a 6-star version on this one. But when I experimented around, Infamous Doom was the better option. And especially that I don't think you have much to worry about when it comes to the champion options for this. Path 2, and some of my favourite options for this was Red Hulk. Red Hulk was one of the best. Second was Overseer. Immortal Abomination had a rank 2 version. I would have preferred a rank 3 version, and bringing something with a slow debuff or something to deal with Annihilus is a really kind of like good option. Whether or not it's Cap Infinity War, whether or not, as I said, She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen, all those stuff, Red Guardian, for example, anything that will kind of deal with that particular problem, because Annihilus is a bit of a problem when you get further down the line. I would say as well, because this one, I didn't explain what the node was, it is Academic Constitution, Contagion, and then Vexing Blight. So essentially, you're going to get poisons put on you. You can either, and you will shrug them off based on, well-timed block and get that Fury passive, or you can have poison immune science options, some of which I just mentioned, that could be very helpful for you. Personally, Red Hulk was doing just some incredible amounts of damage, and I really recommend that as a potential option for it. Let's move on. And also, I know how I feel about Act 8.2. It's okay. Again, it's let down by the AI quality because it's holding on to special attacks. Just not good. Anyway, third path is all about the first thing, which is the new thing, which is weapon, and then we've got weapon, disarm, and unarmed. This one is tactical skateboard. It's annoying really when there's a lot of nodes to effectively read. I've tried to condense it as much as possible in some of the information, but it just kind of goes like this: tactical skateboard, don't get hit into the block. It gives the defender a cruelty buff. Nerves of steel will play into that one. And then we've got disarm, throw a heavy attack, having a unique buff equals more damage. I've tried to explain these things in a nutshell because the biggest problem, as I said, it's very wordy and it's very blah 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 blah. Parry heavy to start, then focus on intercepts, and I don't know if I enjoyed this one the most. I remember that when I did the live stream of this one, it was only down the line I felt that the best champion options. I mean, look, it's a hashtag metal path. Yes, you can use the likes of Magneto, but Gallon, which I forgot to pack into my roster for that team. King Groot was good, but Hulkling was better. Hulkling was very good for this path because the more unique buffs you have, the more damage you do. And I was seeing some amazing damage of Hulkling, and it just made me just like chef's kiss kind of thing, and that was good. We next go for path I actually really enjoyed, and that was path 4. See, path 4 has this henchman dynamic, which is get a fury buff to purify debuffs, right? Very important, because when the enemy throws a special attack, you're going to see yourself get a petrified debuff. Now, the best way to kind of like deal with that, shrug it off, or play into this henchman villains stuff. You can look to have other champions, a lot of the skill line have that kind of, well, we'll shrug off that particular debuff effect, and it's up to you. But I felt it was kind of nice to use some villains. There's some that worked for me, some that did not. I didn't like Kingpin, and maybe it's just down to user error on that one. But some of my favorite champions to take this on was Dr. Doom, was Omega Sentinel, King Groot. I would have loved a Tuma for this one, and also Immortal Abomination. I think that a good poison immune option is a necessity. I feel like it was needed against standard Abomination. There's only one hashtag metal on the route, so it doesn't really kind of matter too much about using Magneto. And something for Tigra, just an anti-venom. Didn't want to throw special attacks, which was really annoying. A lot of the time, keeping these champions to SP1s can be advisable. Do watch out, though, for anything else. We take a moment and we take a breath to focus on the 5th path. The 5th path is all about While the Iron is Hot, Aggression Fury, Power Shield, Beasts of Burden. Now, some people say this is the easiest path. I don't actually. I think that the last one we're going to mention is actually the easiest path, and I'll explain why. But I think that may be down to champion specific. With this one, I did feel that any champ works. And maybe that pinpoints this as being one of the easiest paths, and especially because it's got Power Shield as part of everything. But yes, While the Iron is Hot, hit the defender against the wall, and you'll get prowess. Great. And also you will, as you're gaining prowess, kind of charge up the enemy for power gain. Their combat power rate increases. They get Aggression Fury, so you've got to keep hit some, or otherwise, like, if you don't keep them up, then you're going to get, like, hit really badly. So try to avoid that. And Power Shield, of course, is going to be a thing. Now, it's up to you if you choose champions that have prowess as part of their kit already. To be honest, I wouldn't worry so much about While the Iron is Hot. And I think I ended up using Archangel for this, and it was just fine. I think a lot of things are just fine. You just got to like make sure that you just got to be careful. Maybe Dr. Doom, maybe power control options, but I don't think there's anything really to worry about this one with it. So yeah, I mean, I've like noted this is just like, well, any champion will do. It's just a case of like just champions that don't do too many debuffs, because if you do more debuffs on the enemy champion as part of Beast of Burden, it reduces down the duration of debuff. So if you're like, oh, I love doing a parry for X amount of seconds, well, it's going to be it's going to go, duration's going to blah, 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 the more debuffs you have on the enemy. So maybe champions with the unique buffs, maybe Hercules could be a cool option right here. I'm trying to, with this particular Act 8.2 guide, not to mention Hercules quite as much. And I urge people to not use Hercules quite as much. Yes, he's a go-to option. But I think this is the problem, that kind of like, I just don't want to be at that point. I want to like choose loads of different options rather than having to be kind of rooted. Although I have mentioned Dr. Doom, so maybe I'm a hypocrite with that. But I just don't want to say for everything Hercules, 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 Hercules. I want to, like, you know, throw other options into the fray with it. And now we end with my favorite path, path number 6. I love this path because I've actually, the team that I used is on screen right now, except for Quicksilver. Quicksilver is just there because I used him against Black Panther. He is one of effective options, but there's actually many. I was actually a bit afraid of that fight, but it turned out to be fine. So, weapon Asgardian Hammer, disarm and unarmed bonus. My notes on this is Asgardian Hammer, don't get hit in the block as it gives you an armor break. Knock down at wall to disarm, stun or parry to do more damage, steady perseverance, defender throws a special attack, stun immunity buff so you can nullify, and also there's other stuff to this with attack a special burst lockdown. To be honest, don't worry about the last one. But I would say champion options that do not get armor break as part of their kit, which I've listed in here as being Man-Thing, Man-Gog, Sasquatch, and Thing, right? they're immune to armor break. And if you've got stagger as well in that part of that kit and can deal with buffs like Sasquatch and Doctor Doom, you're able to suppress that stun and immunity buff that comes up from time to time. And again, this is all about kind of like utilizing the best team for it. One of the great things about the final path, Path 6, is that there are 3 #metal champions. There's, first of all, Ultron, there's Old Man Logan, and there is Silver Centurion. Mind went for a moment. The great thing about this, even though stun immunity buff will come up and you're like, whoa, I can't really suppress this and blah, 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 not really to worry about it. As soon as it kind of goes and you've done the disarm, you get an extensive amount of burst damage. And to give you an idea of how much, if you do a parry and then throw an SP3, I only had to have 8 prowess on to do hundreds of thousands of damage points. And that was just like, oh, I didn't have to put much effort in. That's what I'm talking about. Like, this path is really easy and is one of the funnest. I did think that the Academic Constitution path was the most fun, but then that Mojo fight's on there, and I think a couple of other, and then Annihilus, and by the end of it, I was like, do you know what? I don't really enjoy this one. But my favourite one has got to be the far right-hand one. The team that I used was there. Now, on to bosses. Just quickly, you have 3 bosses. You have got yourself Vision, who has power, armor, stalwart, shield, and tunnel vision. Now, depending if you want to repeat the same attack you did, you can even make the decision to have a miss suppressing champion. So the likes of Magneto, of course being #mental, and also Human Torch can be good options against Vision. Do watch out for the synthesize. Also power control options, but if you do that, then you've got to make sure you watch out for tunnel vision, because you'll be you'll be throwing up a miss. There are going to be some other options, but those are my favorites. Personally, Magneto, Human Torch. You could use Hercules with an SP1 rotation, but again, same thing.
Professor X.
Watch out for probably watch out for miss in building the SP1. That is, as soon as you build that SP1, then you can just rotate around that and suppress as you go. Again, options. Someone used Medusa, but again, you do you at the end of the day with your choices. Scarlet Witch Sigil for this one. Not Human Torch. Well, Human Torch. Yes, it's Human Torch. Underdog. My favorite underdog or superiority, which is class disadvantage, by the way, is Hulkling. But Null, as someone suggested in the live chat on Wednesday actually, said that could be an option because of armor break. King Groot as well. Look out for that class disadvantage. Again, all information is in the spreadsheet for you to check out. All I'm saying. I will tie this up at some stage, but yeah, I've got to get motoring with getting this content made. And the final one has got to be Black Panther. So Black Panther has breakneck speed, shank, fight, or flight. Now, this is down to you of how you want to approach it. The options are either to have Hercules, could be a really good option for this. My personal favourites are Doctor Doom and Quicksilver. Quicksilver plays into the breakneck speed in that if you intercept, you throw your Whiplash onto the enemy. If you throw a special attack, you throw it back onto the enemy. As you hit Black Panther, he will gain those Whiplashes, and of course when they expire, boom, big damage. So you want to be sending them over to the other side, and you can also deal around other stuff like fight or flight. Yes, Quicksilver does have as part of his kit a slow debuff, but I'm more focused in kind of doing the intercepts and keeping my distance go back in again. But I felt Doctor Doom was the favourite option, the best option for this one. Just based on the fact, as long as you don't hit into the champion's block, because you'll get shanked and you'll get some damage. I would say as well, watching out for resistance is futile. Whenever the attack would receive an effect they are immune to. Look, it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter with Doctor Doom, because here's the thing. Like he will not be immune to that bleed. But you know, any champion that's immune to bleed, but also can power control, could be a good option. But I would say that for me, Doctor Doom, Quicksilver were the two kind of best options for this. But you could use loads. Namor, Penny Parker, Hercules. I think a lot of champions can do this fight. Actually, I don't know if it's contention to be the easiest fight. Again, it's based on specific thought processes on what is the best option for you. Some people will say if you've got Human Torch, then Skyward Sigil's the easiest option. If you got Magneto, then Vision's the easiest option. I think that Black Panther might be the easiest option because you're able to stack the Whiplash, stack the damage, and when they fall off, boom, big damage. So yeah, that's been it. That's the Act 8.2 100%, Act 8.2.1 100% guide. You can check out the link in the description. It is work in progress, and I will be filling in stuff whenever I get time to because I'm busy at the moment. So yeah, thanks for watching. Check out some other content located on screen. I'll see you all soon. Much love and goodbye.